Hi, my name is Deborah Sampson. I was born in Plimpton, a small village in Massachusetts, on December 17th, 1760. When my mother could no longer look after my family, she sent me and my siblings to live with friends and relatives. When I was 10, I went to work as a servant in a farmer's house, helping with the farm. The hard work helped me become very strong. I also learned to sew and spin, and I could hunt, ride a horse, and do carpentry work. I was not allowed to go to school. No girls were. But I loved to learn and would get the boys in the family to teach me the lessons they were learning in school. I learned so well that when I was 18, I became a teacher. During the Revolutionary War, I wanted to become a soldier and help, but I couldn't because girls weren't allowed in the army. I had a bold idea. Since I was tall and strong, I thought that if I could dress like a man and act like a man, people might actually believe me. So in May of 1782, I left the town that I was living in and walked over 100 miles to Worcester, where no one knew who I was. I marched into the enlistment office, and after answering a few questions, that was it. I became a soldier. I went by the name of Robert Shultliff. I was first sent to West Point to train to become a soldier. I worked really hard to prove myself while pretending to be a man. I volunteered for every mission and duty I could. And it was on one of those missions that I was shot.
I've been shot!
Fellow soldiers lifted me up to bring me to the doctor. I was so afraid that my secret would be found out. I was injured in my neck and leg. Due to the fear of being discovered, I did not tell the doctor about the bullet in my leg. After my neck was fixed up, I went to another tent with a sharp knife and bandages. I knew that if I wanted to keep it secret, I had to handle the injury myself. After many attempts, I was finally able to remove the musket ball. I portrayed myself as Robert after I was injured. It wasn't until I became ill with a terrible fever in 1783 that I was cared for by a doctor, Barnabas Binney. While he was taking care of me, he discovered my secret. But the wonderful man that he was, he took me to his house where his wife and daughters took care of me until I was well again. After I recovered, I returned to the army, even though by this time the war was nearly over. I went back to West Point with a letter from Dr. Binney explaining that I was really a woman pretending to be a man. People were shocked. I was known as such a hard-working and brave soldier. People found it hard to believe I was actually a woman. I was given an honorable discharge from the army. I married a man named Benjamin Gannett on April 7th, 1785. He was a farmer, and we had several children, a boy and 2 girls. We also cared for the daughter of a friend of ours that had died. Although life after the army was a calm life of a farmer's wife, I was the first woman in the country to go on a lecture tour that lasted almost a year to talk about my experience in the war. However, life was not easy. We had very little money and found life hard. Unlike men who had served in the army, I did not receive a pension because I was a woman. After campaigning for several years in an effort to prove yet again that I did what I did for my country, in 1821 I was finally awarded a pension for my service. I am remembered as a brave soldier who fought so that the people of America could be free. I fought for what I believed. I showed that women cared about freedom as much as men did. I also showed the country that a woman could be as brave as any man. I cared enough to risk my life for a land of freedom and opportunity.